Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
Brother, today we're going to talk about procrastination. A few weeks ago, I was doing our intensive coaching session with the brothers in the intensive group, and I had mentioned in response to something a brother shared that procrastination was a trauma response. Later on, the brother asked me to elaborate on this, and we ended up having a few conversations about procrastination. And I decided that it was a good time to break down procrastination and tell you what it is based on my personal experience and my professional experience as a reboot coach, and show you a couple of ways to overcome it. I believe that one of the greatest regrets a person can have is not living up to their potential. And as somebody who works with men, I see men in their 20s who are squandering it. I see men in their 30s and 40s who are living in fear of not reaching it. I also see men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who have locked themselves into a life where they just live in fear because they know that they're not living up to their potential, and they have to really embrace their life. They really need to brainwash themselves and say, you know what, it's about the wife and the kids and my church and my community, when deep down inside, they know that they're not living up to their potential. Once or twice a year, I will go read the top 10 regrets of the dying. And you can find this on YouTube or anywhere. There are lots of studies that have been done and interviews, and those who are dying have been asked what their regrets are. And there are things like not being true to themselves, basically living the way that their family, their friends, those around them wanted them to live and not really expressing themselves, working too hard, not spending enough time with loved ones, and so on. I highly encourage you to look into it because it's a reminder that at the end of your life, imagine this. I know most of us don't imagine the end of our lives, but the end of your life, when you know there is nothing else, like there is no proof of anything else. If you are a Christian or religious person, you have faith, and faith is a very powerful thing. I get it. But still, when you are right there at the edge, whether you have faith in something beyond that or not, nothing changes the fact that time has passed. You will look back and you will have to reckon with yourself, not anybody else. I believe that procrastination is the number one thing that sabotages your ability to reach your potential. And I see so many men using pornography to hide from their potential. But let's talk about where procrastination comes from. Procrastination comes from fear. It doesn't matter what the fear is, but the most common fear that I've seen in working with men over the years is a fear of success, or a fear of whatever you define as too much success. So understand this, right? As human beings, we're designed to be tribal creatures. We always want to belong. When you look at your personality is formed with a priority of belonging in mind, which means that you put together a personality that will allow you to belong to a certain group. You will modify it when you are around certain people. You will subdue it or you will magnify it depending on which group of people you are around, because you constantly want to belong. It is something that you do subconsciously and you may not have much conscious control over. But the more successful you become in different areas of life, well, the less you belong. And it's a scary thing because each time you level up in a certain area of life, you face the risk of being kicked out of the tribe. You face the risk of facing negative emotions or uncomfortable emotions from those people around you. And so you want to stay safe. I think it was Marianne Williamson, and she has a quote. I think I have it written in one of my books, but you can pull it up online too. And the quote from her book, Return to Love, is, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world." What a powerful quote. Procrastination is the fear of how great you could be if you took action, knowing that if you took action, you would accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish with time. It's a powerful fear. And what I shared with the brothers in the group is that what procrastination does is that, now what we use it for is we use it to prevent ourselves from succeeding. We use it to avoid the shame of any sort of obvious failure or of quitting. I guess you could say is that procrastination is a way that you sprinkle your quitting over a long period of time so that nobody notices it. And so that you think you don't notice it yourself. So basically, you're spreading all your little failures out over very small incidents, and so it's not obvious. In other words, procrastination is killing yourself with hundreds of little cuts over and over and over again. That's what procrastination does. It holds you back from success. I'd like you to just take a moment right here in the episode and think of an area in your life where you are procrastinating right now. Think of it. Just pick something. It could be with buying a property, with saving on something, with studying and learning something new. Anything that you are procrastinating on, when you think about it, it is going to make you a better person. It is likely going to level you up without exception. It is going to make you a better person. But you are afraid of success. You think you are afraid of failure. You're just afraid of succeeding in the long run. If not, you wouldn't have thought about doing this in the first place. So here's what you can do to overcome procrastination. One of the first things, interestingly enough, all these conversations were had this week during my one-on-one calls with clients. So with a handful of clients, I had the opportunity to share these techniques for overcoming procrastination. The first one is to understand how you make decisions. Some of us make way too many decisions. And I've mentioned this, that studies have shown that you can only make about 4,000 decisions a day. And some of you have used up all 4,000 of them before noon. Like you're done. You've used every single thing up. My suggestion to you is to plan your days ahead of time and to schedule things out. So you take a big goal and then you chop that goal down and then you plan things out. So an example is, let's say you want to get to the gym and you want to go to the gym on a regular basis, certain days of the week. Instead of wearing yourself out by waking up in the morning and then deciding what you need to wear and whether you want to run or go to the gym or what kind of workout you want to do or whether you want to eat something before you go or not. All these things are using up decisions. You lay out your clothes for the next day. You mix your pre-workouts. You have your shoes and your socks, your underwear, everything you need neatly laid out in your room. You wake up in the morning, you wear the clothes, and you go out. That's what I do. I literally have my clothes laid out. I wake up, they're laid out in my bathroom. I walk into my bathroom. I wear my clothes, brush my teeth. Now, I usually meditate first, but I try my best to meditate while wearing my gym clothes. When I finish my meditation session, then I go out and get my workout in. There is no thinking done. It is already set. So that's the first thing, because some of you guys are making the same decision over and over and over again. You're doing it with your money. Your paycheck comes in, you get paid, and then you start trying to what should I do? How should I pay this? Okay, I got to go and manually pay this bill. Brother, automate everything. Your paycheck comes in, a percentage goes to your savings. Another percentage goes to your 401k if your company isn't pulling it out. Another percentage goes to your emergency fund. Another percentage goes into your investment fund or your wealth fund, whatever it is, and then the rest is for spending. Like, set it up. If you're not sure how to set it up, we actually have our Financial Reboot Program workshop, which is going to be announced on this podcast episode in a few weeks, which shows you how to do all these basic things. I don't care how much you're making. If you're not automating all your money when it comes in to go into different accounts, then you are making way too many decisions. And that decision fatigue is also affecting your finances. The second thing is progress over perfection. And this is one of the principles of porn reboots anyway. And what I mean by this is, one of my mentors told me many years ago, this freed me up to even start porn reboots, said good enough is good enough. And what that means is, instead of waiting for perfection, just get your shit started. I'll give you a very simple example. Videos. Any of you that shoot videos or need to shoot video for something, to introduce yourself, to do anything, you're going to procrastinate. You want to not procrastinate, but you're going to go for perfection. You're like, I need this video to be perfect. I need the message I send to this girl to be perfect. I need the paperwork I submit to be perfect. Now, if it's work paperwork that's required to be perfect, that's fine. But some of you are sitting there getting mad and spending a whole bunch of time reviewing a message because you have one word that is not spelled right. Those of you who have been following me for a couple of years, who've been following this system, y'all may laugh at this, but y'all remember my first emails I used to send out in the early days? They used to be so full of grammatical errors. There were so many misspellings. People even messaged me back and they were like, JK, I love the message. Like, you're a funny guy when you write. You're very inspirational or motivating. But God damn it, sometimes it's just so fucking hard to read your shit because of the grammatical errors. Well, early in those days, I didn't have the time to proofread, and I didn't have the luxury of a whole bunch of editors. I had a very small team. We had a lot of demand. I had to move forward. And there were people who said, man, you got to proofread your work. It's disrespectful to send it out to people. I didn't care. I knew that a time would come when I would be able to do that better. But I knew that I couldn't afford to procrastinate on getting a very, very important message out, even if the message wasn't grammatically correct. It's a difficult decision to make. Some of you might be listening to this and going like, I don't know about that. It may be holding you back somewhere in life. Now, I have somebody who proofreads every email that I send out, make sure it's grammatically correct, make sure the spelling is right, double checks everything. But I would never have been able to get here if I was aiming for perfection early on. The next way is to actually reframe the way you see procrastination. So I get it. You're a rebooter. You are impulsive. You are a high performer or an ambitious man, and you want results immediately. But the truth is that procrastination is not something that can be fixed immediately. You hear about procrastination and you go, oh my God, that's a different way to look at procrastination. I'm so excited to change it. And deep down, we have this desire to change it immediately. We hope that this epiphany about this thing we've struggled with for so long will lead to quick results. But like everything else in life, it does require discipline. It does require patience. So you have to be very, very patient with it. You have to treat it like going to the gym or going for a run or working on your flexibility. Something that's going to take time to see transformation as you would with your body. So you might notice that sometimes you procrastinate for, let's say, 2 hours in the morning before you get shit done. You know there's something you should do, but you're fucking around on the phone. You might also see that during the day when there's a very important task that's looming and you're like, you know what, before I work on this task, I'm going to go get myself a cup of coffee. I'm going to go take a leak. And while you're waiting for the coffee to brew, you're standing around looking at your phone and you grab the coffee and you have a seat and you're like, oh, wow, this is very interesting. This bullshit I saw on social media. And you start going down that rabbit hole. That's procrastinating. So whereas you would spend 45 minutes in the middle of the day procrastinating or 2 hours in the morning procrastinating, you have to train yourself to bring yourself back to awareness and push yourself with discipline to do the thing you're procrastinating, reminding yourself that, hey, this is fear of success. You know that thing you have on your vision board? You know that goal that you keep writing down? That thing you're keeping in your mind that you want to accomplish? Well, you're robbing yourself of it right now. And it may take you like an hour in the morning instead of 2 hours now to come to that realization. But that's the way you want to view it. You want to view it as something you're going to work on progressively. And then the final technique for overcoming procrastination is any rules that you set for yourself, you need to start treating them as laws. What I mean by this is rules don't have very serious consequences for breaking them. Maybe there's a fine at the worst case scenario for something that you did, pay $20, $200 for breaking the rule, or you get off with a warning. But in our personal life, when it's time to change something that could sabotage our potential, that could leave us in our deathbed with regret, a rule is not enough. You have to make it a law in your life. And there are serious consequences for breaking laws. Now, I'm not a big fan of negative reinforcement. So I'm not a big fan of give somebody money if you slip or relapse, give somebody your hard-earned money if you procrastinate. No. But I'll give you an example. I punish myself, punish would be in quotes, with my laws. An example would be if I make an impulsive purchase, if there's something I see that I really like, it could be, sometimes I'll go crazy on technology. I'll see a really cool podcast mic. I'll see some cool lighting or a cool webcam or some shit that I can carry I travel quite a bit, a cool bag that I can carry my laptop in, or some really cool keyboard that folds up to the size of like a fucking fit in the palm of my hand. I'll make that purchase. But the consequence, by breaking the law of impulsivity, when I already have one of those things and I'm just buying material shit from Amazon, the consequence is I have to make an equal investment into my investment account. So either into my real estate account, into my stocks, I have to do so. It doesn't matter whether I spend $400 or $4,000. Whatever it is, if it is a material thing that there is not a need for, that it is just a want, an equal amount must go into investment. And if I do not have the money to put into an investment of mine, that simply means that I cannot afford it. But that's another story. That's actually part of the financial reboot. If you are a brother who is ADD or ADHD, self-diagnosed or not, if you have the signs, the way you manage money and the way you motivate yourself has to be very different from other people. So this is one of the little ways that I learned how to manage my money and generate wealth as a person who was ADD, as a person who was struggling with an out-of-control behavior. But it's also one of the ways that you can set laws in order to manage your behavior with procrastination. And it doesn't have to be a serious thing. It can be something that you have fun with. You can also do it as an act of service. So you're like, if I procrastinate, then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to end up, then you procrastinated on something for 3 hours. Well, I'm going to spend 3 hours with my spouse or with my partner, just doing something for her or doing something with her. When typically you would have spent that time working or spent that time on one of your other hobbies. But now you've broken the law that you set for yourself. So you're going to do something that's actually going to move your life forward, but typically it is something that would generate resentment within you. Or you could make a donation to charity, or you could volunteer your time to something. So those are a couple of ways that you can overcome procrastination. That is my take on it, just personally as JK and as a professional reboot coach. I hope you will save and download this particular episode and refer back to it anytime you need to overcome procrastination. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot Group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.